Viewer disclaimer, this video contains absolutely no hand traps, except for Phantasme. I think he's neat. The last time I played Chimera on the channel, I had a couple of questions on what I really wanted to be playing when it came to this deck, and while last time I tested whether or not I wanted to play hand traps, this time I'm testing whether or not to play things like Fusion Deployment, Cartasia, Ad Libitum, Branded in Red, things like that. Basically, just a lot of cards that would increase my likelihood of drawing playable hands. I also wanted to test Phantasme. At the beginning of the format, I was told that he wasn't good, but honestly, he seems perfect in a deck like this. Being able to sculpt my bad hands and act as a way to prevent targeting effects, plus being a body on field for polymerization, it just seems good on paper. So while the point of this list was not play hand traps, I feel like he's fine to stay as he increases my board presence while protecting me from things like Promethean Princess. As always, a deck profile will be up Monday for the list I played in this video, so subscribe to be notified when it comes out. Round 1, I'm up against Mitchell on pure Snake Eyes. I won the die roll and went first, starting with Gazelle to add Big Winged Baphomet. Sadly, Mitchell draws me here, but I can still make Chimera and set 2 cards. Chimera ends up sniping a copy of Imperm out of his hand, but Mitchell just scoops when I pass it over to him, as his hand was bricked up with both Flamberge Dragon, Snake Eyes Oak, and a Droll he drew off the top. Game 2, he went first, and on summon of his Link Rebo, I used Phantasme to summon itself and draw 2 and put 1 back. Now, since I'm testing a list with no other hand traps, he just has free reign to combo from here, and ends on a board of Raging Phoenix, Promethean Princess Engraved, Flamberge in the Spell and Trap Zone, with the field spell up, and 3 back row. I start off my turn with Branded Fusion, sending Albaz and the Light Hex Sealed Fusion to make Albion, and I use this effect on summon to make Dragoon. On summon, Mitchell activates Summon Limit, but I chain Cosmic Cyclone. On res, I normal summon Mirror Sword Knight and use his effect, but Mitchell chains the second Summon Limit, forcing out my Dragoon negate. I summon out Big Wing Baphomet and trigger his effect, allowing Mitchell to use his field spell to summon out Flamberge. From here, I'm able to safely combo thanks to Phantasme protecting me from Promethean Princess, so I go for the full Illusion Beast OTK line and win the match. Good games to Mitchell. Round 2, I'm up against Tobias on Snake Eyes Fire King. I win the die roll and go first, starting with Branded Fusion, sending Cartasia and Albaz to try and establish Dragoon, since I opened the Light Hex Sealed Fusion, but he Valors my Albion. A little inconvenient, but I followed up with Codal to search Sword Knight, and I use Sword Knight to turbo out the Big Wing Baphomet. But unfortunately, Tobias imperms Baphomet, and sadly, I just have to pass from here. Tobias starts his turn with Snake Eyes Ash, and the only card I have to disrupt him is Phantasme. However, this low-key does the trick, as when I Phantasme him on Link Rebo, he decides his best play here is to link into SP and chain block with Poplar, getting rid of my Phantasme and practically guaranteeing me a turn since he can't attack directly. He ends on a board of Snake Eyes Oak, Promethean Princess, and Flamberge, while I use Albion's Grave effect to search Branded in Red and Cartasia's effect to add itself back. Now, if you've noticed, outside the potential cards in hand, Tobias doesn't really have any interruption on field, and all he ends up having in hand is Kieran. Plus, I had started off my turn with 6 cards in hand thanks to Phantasme and the graveyard effects, so I'm able to go full combo and swing it for lethal with the Illusion Beast, taking game 1. Game 2, he goes first, and I summon Phantasme on his Link Rebo again, sculpting my hand once more. And once again, he chain blocks his SP to banish my Phantasme. Though this time he ends on a board of Zealantis, Flamberge, SP in the Spell Trap Zone, and Fire King Island. I start my turn with Branded Fusion, sending Albaz and the Light Hex Sealed Fusion to make Albion, and I trigger his effect. But Tobias chains Magnemite here to banish my Albaz. This ends up being fine. I can still make Dragoon by banishing the Light Hex Sealed Fusion and Albion. I follow up Dragoon Summon with Fright for Patchwork, and on resolution, Tobias uses Flamberge to summon out SP. From here, I summon out Albaz and use his effect, forcing Tobias to chain SP here, but I use Dragoon to negate it. Using his Zealantis and my Albaz, I make Mirror Jade, but honestly, I should have used this Ponix to make Rinbrum. This would have guaranteed me a way to negate his Promethean Princess, but it ends up not mattering. You see, when I use Albaz's effect, I discarded Cornfield Codal. Thanks to this, I'm able to use Polymerization to make the Baphomet Fusion using Etchem Chain and Mirror Sword Knight, making my graveyard negates live. So from here, I am once again protected from Promethean and go safely for the Illusion Beast OTK. Good games to Tobias. Round 3, I'm up against Michael West on ABC. He wins the die roll and goes first, ending on a board of, yeah, that's fine, I guess. Okay, yeah, I wasn't expecting that. Well, I start my turn with Cartasia, and, okay, he scoops that. Yeah, okay, cool. Game 2 was a far cry from game 1, though, as I had opened it no Chimera cards and no way to get to them. So I just tried to survive with my Druid's Worm and Grand Guignol for as long as possible, but it was not enough, so he ended up taking it. Game 3, I opened the gas, but I didn't have a way to play around Nibiru, so he changed gives Nibiru to my Chimera Fusion. Funnily enough, this allows me to use 2 monsters in hand and the Nibiru token on field to make Guardian Chimera, drawing me 2 cards and destroying his Nibiru. And thanks to Branded in white, I can still make a decent end board, but I had used way too many resources during my first turn and ultimately didn't have anything to follow up turn 3, so I lost pretty fast. Now I did misplay here. I could have used Grand Gugnol's effect on resolution of Nibiru, but that's on me. I totally forgot about it. If I had done that, I might have won the game because Caritas is kind of hard to out, and once you do out it, it just summons out Albaz. So that's on me. I'll have to watch back over my combo here later and figure out what the optimal line is after getting hit with Nibiru, but good games to Michael. Round 4, I'm up against my GOAT, Sam Jerome. It's his first locals back after taking a small break, so let's see what he has in store for us. Yeah, he was on flu. I won the die roll and went first, and thanks to a called by dealing with this shifter, I was able to end on a board of Masquerade, Rinbrum, Chimera, Mirror Sword Knight, and Chimera Fusion, with Chimera ripping Advent of Adventure out of his hand in the end phase. Also, if you didn't know what Masquerade does, it burns Sam for 600 of his own life points each time he activates a card or an effect, so he has to burn himself a ton to out this board. Sam starts his turn with Prosperity, getting him access to Advent, which banishes his Eaglin and adds a copy of Rabina. On resolution of this, I use Chimera Fusion to make Drago's Tapelia using my Rinbrum and Baphomet, since Rinbrum's field effect won't do anything in this matchup, though I end up using Drago's Tapelia in the wrong spot here. Sam used Map to banish Tree and summon Rabina, and goes Chainlink 1 Rabina and Chainlink 2 Eglin. I chained Drago's Tapelia to stop Rabina from searching, but I should have waited for Eglin, because he still had his regular normal summon. Resolving backwards, Eglin gets added back to his hand, and in an open game state, he just normal summons Eglin anyways. He also takes my Drago's Tapelia with triple tactics, but when going through his combo, he decides not to tribute it and leave it on field. Sam didn't have a way to OTK me this turn either, so in his end phase, it just comes back to me. On my turn, I switch my Drago's Tapelia to defense, but Sam decides to scoop because I can negate whatever he summons with Drago's Tapelia. Game 2, he went first, and oh, actually, this board isn't so bad. It's just the standard Fluent. Oh, that's a lot of back row. Well, I'm sure it's just 2 imperms alongside Dreaming. Yeah, alright, it's cool. I didn't want to play the game anyways. It's just cool, it's fine, whatever. Game 3, my hand was a little funky, but it was definitely playable. My dilemma was that I had Fusion Deployment, Mirror Sword Knight, and Gazelle. I want to play around Gazelle getting impermed, and if I normal summon Mirror Sword Knight and it gets ashed, Cartasia won't have anything to Fusion Summon since Gazelle is an Earth. But thanks to Master Tao in hand, I see a way to play through either of those 2 cards. I start with Fusion Deployment to grab Cartasia, and then I go for Gazelle to grab Chimera Fusion. Cartasia can't fuse anything that's level 8 or lower, so I can't dodge Imperm on Gazelle here, since 2 of the Chimera Fusions are level 6 and Gazelle is an Earth, so I can't use it for Grand Gugnol either. Thankfully, Sam did not open Imperm. Gazelle grabs Chimera Fusion, and on resolution I use Cartasia to fuse off itself and Mirror Sword Knight for Grand Gugnol, with Grand Gugnol sending Albion to set up Branded in red during my end phase. From here, I fire off Chimera Fusion, using Master Tao and Gazelle to make Baphomet. This way, Baphomet can send Kodal and Tao brings back my Sword Knight. My end board is a bit funky this way, but it's still able to set up my Graveyard Negates, plus rip a card from Sam's hand in the end phase. That card being evenly matched, which wouldn't have fully broken my board, but it would have most likely lost me the game. This setup also allows me to grab King Tiger Wenku in the draw phase, and after he uses anything in main, I can make Magnum the Reliever with Chimera and Wenku. Then I can use Chimera to bring back Wenku. Flu can't typically do anything against this unless they draw Imperm or Droplet, and Sam thankfully did not draw either of those. Good games to Sam. This helped secure me a first place finish, with the prizing being really nice since it's OTS packs, but even though I won 9 whole OTS packs, I did not pull a single ultimate rare.
And the new guy do that's pretty good. I have terrible luck. I have the worst luck.
I just haven't gotten an ulti yet. I'm just like, please. King Tiger. Please. 9 supers. Now, if I'm being honest, this version of the deck is incredibly fun. Cartasia adds a lot of lines to the deck, but my only issue with it is the amount of cards that don't quite synergize with the Chimera cards. Sure, things like Cartasia and Ad Libitum add some neat lines to the deck, but at the end of the day, they are Spellcaster and Fairy types, and things like Gazelle don't synergize with Cartasia as its Earth attribute. Now, don't get me wrong, I love the lines that Cartasia adds, and it honestly feels like she makes the deck better just by being there, but in some hands, she's just a little awkward to have. I'll keep refining this deck, but ultimately, I enjoyed this version of the deck. But I will say, for this format, I feel like the hand trap version would probably see more success. And I totally forgot to say this in my last video, but I really love the patchwork engine in this deck. It just gives you a ton of advantage so long as you don't get trolled. I'll be uploading this deck list as a deck profile on Monday, so if you want to see that, make sure to subscribe. I'm really close to hitting 1,000 subs, so your support would mean the world to me. And let me know what decks you'd like to see in a future video. Also, if you want to get a cool playmat like mine, head on over to grimoireaccessories.com and use code GOKI5 at checkout for 5% off your entire order. But with that, my name is Gokuzemi, and I'll see you guys in the next one. See ya!